Let's move on. Time to head to our final section, Footballers' Lives.
Footballers' Lives.
And joining us on Footballers' Lives this week, a goalkeeper who's famously had more clubs than Jack Nicklaus, but like a fine wine, seems to just get better with age. He's now 39, at the peak of his powers with Perth Glory, and he's quite a character to boot. And he's busy preparing for a semi-final against Sydney FC on Wednesday. So we're very grateful to Liam Reddy for taking time out to talk to us. How are you, Rocket?
I'm good. Thanks for having us. I definitely have more clubs than Jack Nicklaus, but I've enjoyed my time at all of them.
Let's start by going back to the beginning. You're from a big sporting family. Your dad, Rod, from where you get the Rockets nickname, was a former rugby league international. Your brother played league. Your sister was an elite netball player. That must have been quite a competitive family that you grew up in.
What happened?
Yeah,
what happened to you, Rocket?
It still is. Whenever we get together, we don't like losing. What happened to me? You know me well, Maury. I'm very competitive. We're very competitive, but I think I'm the fortunate one. I chose the right sport because the old man's banged up and my brother's definitely banged up as well. So, I think I'm the smart one out of the lot of them.
We had a question, Rocket, from Ben Archer on Twitter, who did ask, how much pressure was there to get involved with rugby league, given your dad's success in that sport? Was that the sport you played first of all?
There was none, to be honest. There was none, to be honest. My old man's a really big Arsenal fan and actually named me after Liam Brady, believe it or not. So he loves his football. I was fortunate enough to live over there in my younger years. When the old man finished his career in Australia, we moved over there for 4 years for him to finish his career and start his coaching career. And that's where I took up football. And when I came back to Australia when I was 10, continued to play both rugby league and football, and really just enjoyed football more. He's always been supportive of that. Even my brother Joel, who played rugby league, played football until he was 17 years old, and he made the choice after year 12 of high school to pursue rugby league. So we've never had any pressure on what sport we should or shouldn't play. He's always been supportive of what we've done.
And does that Arsenal supporting lineage continue with you? Are you a Gooner as well?
No, I'm not. I'm a big Liverpool fan and can't wipe the smile off my face. I lived in England in the glorious, the 87, 88, 89 era of Ian Rush, John Barnes, Bruce Grobbelaar, those sort of players. Watching those sort of players really, got me, into football and has pursued my love of football. So I'm fortunate that I've got 3 kids. 2 of them are Liverpool supporters, and one unfortunately goes for your team, Simon.
Hey.
But we always have the one that is the black sheep, I suppose.
We'll get the question of the week out of the way, and then we'll sort of move on more specifically to your playing career. Our question of the week this week comes from Boz on Twitter. Congratulations, Boz. You win a $100 voucher from Outback Steakhouse. We'll get that to you. He asked, what were your memories of your days with the old Parramatta Power at the outset of your career, and then coming back to play at the same stadium with the Wanderers?
Yeah, it was really exciting. I came out of the OES and came out, and I left in the December. So the Parramatta Power had been going for 6 months, and it was exciting. Obviously being at the OES where you're in a full-time environment, obviously you're doing school, but you're training full-time. It was perfect for me because Parramatta Power was offering a full-time environment also. So it was great to be in that environment. It was an interesting time because they were new, but I just felt, looking back now, they were probably 5 years ahead of themselves, and maybe the NSL wasn't ready for that. But I enjoyed my time there, and playing in front of probably not the biggest support base because we didn't have that at the time. But it was a good environment, and I really enjoyed playing there. Played with some fabulous players, Mile Sturjowski, Jacob Burns, who's now with the Glory, Alex Tobin, legend of the game. Those sort of players really helped my development and how to be a professional footballer and how to conduct yourself and obviously having the longevity of a career. I remember Alex Tobin. He's a record games holder for an Australian player, and watching him and how he conducted himself on the training pitches really helped me throughout my career. And then obviously returning with the West Sydney.
Yep.
Returning with the West Sydney, it was a good experience. It was fantastic to obviously play back at the ground, and I think the people of the West really did need their own team. The success they've had.
So the NSL obviously finished in 2004. Season 1 of the A-League comes along. You're with the Newcastle Jets. You conceded the very first goal of the new competition to Carl Veer. That seemed to become a habit down the years with a lot of these landmark goals. You were just the unfortunate goalkeeper that seemed to.
That's unbelievable.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, I don't know if that speaks to my longevity, or I really don't want to. The next one that comes around, I'm making sure that I won't be letting the coach know that it's coming around because he might not play me that week. But yeah, look, it's something I look back at. To be involved in the first A-League game was something special. And as you said, it was a really difficult period for an Australian footballer at that time. It was 18 months without playing on a national competition, and to be involved in the first year. But also, I look back at my NSL days very fondly. I finished the NSL with Sydney United, who I played my juniors with also. So, that was very special for me to represent that club as Spiders played for, and that club still means a lot to me. My two eldest boys played for that club as juniors too when I lived in Sydney, and I think it's good to see those clubs now obviously in the NPL, but hopefully we can see them rise again in divisions and national competitions soon.
After you left the Newcastle Jets, Rocket, you then met up with a certain Craig Moore. You had 3 years with Brisbane. But both of you sort of fell victim to the Ange Postecoglou purge. What are your memories of your 3 years in the Sunshine State?
Plenty of fun.
Yeah, I loved it. Plenty of fun. We had plenty of good times. But look, I look back at it as we just fell one game short of obviously making a grand final, and then obviously one game short, I think, of winning the league. So
not against Adelaide, Rob?
It was successful, but we just didn't get that trophy. What was that, mate?
Was that against Adelaide?
Adelaide, correct. Yeah, I remember that. Yeah, I was injured actually. I had a broken thumb, and unfortunately we got beat. I think Danny Tiata might have seen some red mist that day.
Might have thrown a cheeky uppercut on Travis Stott, I think.
We got beat. That's it. Yeah, that's it. Yeah. But yeah, look, I look back fondly. Obviously, you mentioned Maury. I enjoyed playing with him, and it was good. I always remember, and it's something I've always brought with me now, and I always talk to my centre halves. When anyone has a shot, I'm always making sure that the centre half is the first one there, because every time an attacker had a shot, I always see his black Nike Tiempos in front of me. So it was safe knowing that if I did spill it, he'd be there to mop it up for me. But I really enjoyed my time in Brisbane. It was a great place to live, and it's a fantastic football club. And it was just my time to move on. And there was an opportunity to go to Sydney FC and move home, and that was something that me and my wife wanted to take up. We had 2 young kids at the time, and we wanted to be close to family.
Rocket, you touched on the time there. Look, obviously first time I met you when I'd come back to Australia, and we had a fantastic team, and as you mentioned, we were a little bit unlucky. We didn't probably get the success that come later on at the football club. Mate, I wanted to touch base in terms of, remember the caricatures that we had up in the dressing room?
Yeah.
Right. So imagine the caricatures. Have you taken that across to you with Perth? And if you have, who's got the bigger ears in the caricature, yourself or Tony Popovich?
Yeah, I do remember the caricatures. Actually, funny enough, I was doing a clean out the other week before I came over. We had in the COVID lockdown. I was doing a clean out and I found an old one of Robbie Cruz, and it brought back a lot of fun memories. But yeah, we did the caricatures. I was still a bit upset with your one actually, Mr. Squiggles. Yeah. And no, we haven't done them over here in Perth. Obviously, the younger generation might not take it as well as we did back then. But yeah, I think my ears are bigger, but I think the boss's ears might stick out a bit more.
You've got to tell us what Maury's caricature is now, Rocket.
Well, no, actually, I got upset because it was a piss take of every football player in the club. So mine had massive ears. Charlie Miller had a big. Bob
Teats had a huge nose.
Was huge. Danny Tiardo's nose was 5 times the size of his head. I think Maury, we wanted actually. The guy said, I can't do anything to Craig Moore because he's a legend of Australian football, and he was the only one that escaped. I was devastated, but yeah, it was all in good fun, and they used to hang him just above our lockers to try to make the change rooms feel a bit more homely because we shared it at Ballymore at the time with the Queensland Reds.
Mate, Rocket, I'm pissing myself laughing here just listening to you two talk about this kind of stuff. But we did touch on it just before. The younger generation, why do you not think they can accept this kind of stuff?
I don't know. I think they get cuddled too much and probably told that they're great. And it's strange. And I think it's a society issue. It's not football. It's in society. I remember. I think now you got to be very careful how you speak to them. And as a senior player here, even here, we have senior players in our club that I can have an argument with Neil Kilkenny, for instance, on the field, and we can call each other any name under the sun, and we know it's because we want to see each other be better, but also we want the team to be better. Now, I can't talk to someone like that who's a bit younger because they might actually take it personally. It's not personal. We all want to win, but it's just now this younger generation has come through and maybe they've been, the arm around them a little bit too much. Mate, I never got that as a kid. I got it straight facts. I was fortunate that my old man told me if I played well or played bad, but that's how it is. And I always appreciated that honesty. I'd rather be told straight than told, not lies, but, soften the blow. Tell me what I need to be better, what I've done right or wrong. I just think now the kids, you've got to be very careful with them, and that's not just in football. That's in society. I know. I just talking to my dad about rugby league. He had the same issues with coaching. The younger generation coming through, he had to be a bit softer on them. And my brother experienced it with rugby league in the change room as well. The kids coming through are a lot different, and you'd see that yourself, Spider, coaching. Their characters are a little bit different. Just how it is.
Rocket, with that in mind, let's ask you an honest question. There has been accusations in your career, which have had lots of ups and downs at various clubs, and you have been at a lot of clubs. There was a particular incident with Sydney FC where your contract was terminated over there, and there's been rumours of fallouts at lots of different clubs. But the Sydney FC incident, what happened honestly there, and is that something that you bitterly regret?
Yeah, I don't. I regret what happened, and there's no look. We had a game in Wellington, a semi-final, and we went 2 days before the game, and I drank. I drank before the flight, and then I drank on the flight. There's no hiding behind that. I've admitted that. And again, if you ask me, I'll tell, as I'm telling you now, I'll tell you the truth. It was definitely the wrong thing to do. I wasn't probably in the right state of mind, but I made that mistake, and I've had to live with those consequences because they have hung around me, and they did for the probably it affected me obviously for the next 4 or 5 years because everyone kept bringing it up. And still now people bring it up, but that's life. I actually enjoy the bit of banter that I cop off fans about it. Yeah, look, I look back and do I regret it? Yes, but I'm one of those people that always look at the positive. And you know, I got a move to the Central Coast a year later and got to work under Arnie and John Crawley, and then you know, obviously left that club in circumstances that still were, as you said, a bit not suspicious, but not good. And the reason I left that is because I didn't feel that football club was going in the right direction. And I'm one of these people that I won't sit back and accept that because I want to win. And I thought that what was happening at that football club was wrong. Have I been proven right? Well, they've won 4 wooden spoons out of 5 years. So I don't know. Maybe I have, but you know, I thought that the best thing was to go to West Sydney and go there and try to win something there. And unfortunately, we fell 1 game short. You know, that's it. But I'm one of those people that I'm very honest and I'll say it how it is. And if you ask my opinion, I'll tell you. I'm not going to lie to you. And I feel that the coaches that I've had in my career, the ones that have brought the best out of me, work exactly the same. And that's why, you know, I really enjoy working with Popper because he's exactly the same. His mentality is the same. He'll tell you how it is. And for me, that's what I want. That's what gets the best out of me. And, you know, those coaches that I've had, Frank Farina, Graham Arnold for the short time that I had him, you know, those coaches are of the same ilk. And they're the ones that have definitely got the best out of me in my career.
Rocket, we've all had falls throughout our career, but it's how we pick ourselves up, and you've done that in a remarkable fashion. Mate, I've spent time with you even over in Perth, and it's actually your level of professionalism now that puts you in such a good position, and I believe can have you playing for a good few years yet. How important is off the field now in terms of the way you look after yourself, especially as you get older?
Yeah, it's massive. I think, yeah, you're right. I think it was probably the best thing to talking to the Sydney event. I think it was the best thing to happen for my career, because it did make me ask myself tough questions about how I'm living away from the field and the decisions I made that not only impacted me, but impacted my wife and my kids. So going to Central Coast and then obviously thinking, okay, look, you know me well, Maury and Spider, that I love a good time and I still do, but it's a time and a place when the time and the place is to have it. And I think the best thing to happen to me was actually the 6 months I spent at West Sydney, because, and Spider can probably add to this, I got there at 92 kilos. I actually dropped 2 kilos to get to 92. And I turned up first day and the skin folds and got on the scales and Popper said, "You will not play for me unless you're 86 kilos. Now I went straight away, so I can be 86.9. Is that okay? No, under 86. So I'm obviously all right. Okay. So, you know, there was choices I had to make. But that 6 months has actually set me up for what I think the next, 5 to 10 years, because I'm now playing at 86 kilos. My skin folds are the lowest I've ever been in my career. That mindset of what he thought I needed to do, well, he knew that, what I needed to be at. And it's just so important. I feel the older you get, you've probably got to start dropping, whether it be half a kilo or a kilo every year after you're 35 to continue to keep playing at the level you want to play at. And, that's diet, the food you eat is so important. And then obviously sleep and all that comes into it. But don't get me wrong, I still enjoy Christmas parties. I still enjoy, a good night out with the boys, but it's just in moderation, and there's a time and a place for it, which is, now. But yeah, I think that 6 months at West Sydney, and Spider was there. He can agree or disagree, but that 6 months I think has really set me up for the next 5 to 10 years of professional football.
Yeah, and look, I'll admit, Rocket, I loved killing you that period because I actually wanted to get you into shape. So it was very enjoyable, and I know you were cursing me after every session, and I was lucky enough to actually work with you. And people who don't know you, what kind of professional you are, and the questions we asked of you at Western Sydney has actually set you up. And we always say that it takes a kick up the backside to actually wake you up. You wouldn't have had the career you had now if you weren't a professional. And the way you worked, I actually think you've got better as you've got older, but not just as a goalkeeper, as a person, as a leader on the park, everything. And that's a credit to one person, Rocket. That's a credit to you, because you could have actually just said, mate, I'm not doing this. Mate, he can say I've got to be at 86 kilos, mate. I ain't doing it. You bought in and you actually reap the rewards. So that's on you, mate. And that shows what kind of professional you are.
I appreciate that. Yeah. And I mean, it's, people ask me, I actually wish I had someone like that when I was 21, 22 even, because I remember playing, I weigh 86 kilos now. I remember playing at 96, 98 kilos. Now, you just didn't have that. When I was coming through the information about the diet and all that sort of stuff, it just wasn't there in football. And, I remember the gym programs were get big. If you're a goalkeeper, it was get big and get as big as you can. And now it's nothing like that. I still do weights, 2-3 times a week, but it's low weights, it's high repetitions. It's just to stay strong and agile.
Liam, you seem to have finally found a proper home in Perth. You've been there for 4 years, which is by far your longest spell at any one club. You were absolutely terrific in the elimination final win against Wellington Phoenix, another one of your former clubs. I think you made 11 saves in total. A double-edged question here. How many more years can you keep playing, or do you want to play? And secondly, is this your best chance of finally getting that elusive grand final winners medal with Glory?
Yeah, to answer your first question, I feel really good mentally and physically, and it's something that, I always say that if anyone asks me, I actually think I've got the best job in the world. I love getting out of bed and going to training and playing games. I love that feeling on match day with the nervous energy in your stomach, and that's something, when that goes away, that'll tell me that it's time to hang them up. But at the moment, I feel that I can play for at least another 2 or 3 years, and then after that, we'll see what happens. To answer your question, I think we've got a great chance. I mean, it's funny, the season finishes, and then now it's a knockout competition, and as we know, last year it can be cruel. We're losing. It still bugs me last year losing that grand final and actually not even having to make a save because there was no shots on target, and somehow walk away losing that game. It still bugs me, but I think with this squad, we definitely do have a fantastic opportunity to rectify last year and hopefully go that one step further and lift the championship.
Okay, let's finish off with some Twitter questions if we can. This is a good one from Scott Greenwood. Did you ever have any opportunity or interest in playing overseas? Didn't you go to Iran for a very short spell with Esteghlal, or is that just something that appears on Wikipedia?
No, I was actually there. I actually went there after. I went there after I got sacked from Sydney FC. So I went over there and I was signed by them. They at the time I went over there as a number 2 goalkeeper, the national team goalkeeper at the time, and club captain was the number 1 keeper. I really enjoyed my time there. It was a fantastic city and fantastic people, but. In Asian football, especially, sometimes the payments don't hit the bank account quite right, and I left there. I came home after 6 months, and 5.5 years later, I finally got my money through FIFA. But it was a good experience and something that I can probably it's a story to tell, I suppose, because not many players get to play in Iran. But I can assure you, it's a beautiful country, and they love their football.
On that though, Rocket, it is, look, it's educational story in terms of some of the challenges that players do have when they go overseas and certain countries, in terms of, you know, clubs maybe don't pay or they pay late. I think we've seen overnight, or the last day or two, Musti Amini being caught in Turkey. So with your experience there, was there an early sign, or is this, you know, were there any red flags before you actually didn't get paid? Or just for education for younger players, because as time goes by, more and more players are going to be looking to overseas.
Yeah, definitely there was. I remember when I went there, it was I was going to get paid 30% up front of my contract, and I only got 15%. Now that was a red flag straight away. At the time, I had no other option in terms of where I was going to go, because the A-League was full, and I'd obviously, my reputation taken a bit in the A-League, and no one really wanted to touch me. So I didn't really have a choice. I mean, I took the 15% and took their word that I was going to get the rest of the money. And I went by myself, so I needed to support my wife, Christy. And at the time, we had 2 kids, so I sent the money back home for them for the time. And that was definitely a red flag. And I thought, you know, as a footballer, you're trying to think best case scenario all the time and be positive. And it's like, oh, well, it'll come. And by the November, I hadn't received the next payment, and I'm like, things aren't right. And then by the December, the next payment was due, and it hadn't come. And that's when I went through obviously the help of the PFA. We went through the legal avenue, and it took me just on 5.5 years to actually get the money that was owed to me. It was a stressful time as a footballer, obviously, because I had no money coming in, and then but yeah, it's still happening, as we know with Musti now. Just happening now, and it's definitely a warning for players that want to go overseas, that you make sure that those things are rectified early. And if you do see a warning sign, that you get onto it straight away, because you know, obviously in my situation, it did take a while to get that money.
Liam, we're almost out of time, and we know you've got training to come this afternoon. So we've got 2 more Twitter questions to finish off. Dave Picken asks, what's the best save you've ever seen as a goalkeeper? Or maybe you made it yourself. Is it the Gordon Banks one for England against Brazil? I know you're probably a bit young to remember that, but I'm sure you've seen it.
Oh, yeah. God, that's a good one. Yeah, I mean, to be honest, you know what? I love the Schmeichel save, the photo where he's spread out. I like that one. That's the one where he looks imposing. And even though I was a Liverpool fan growing up, I was a big Schmeichel fan, because I just loved the way and the presence that he had in goals. And that one for me was a fantastic save, because it just let those strikers know that, hey, you got to be good to beat this guy. But yeah, the Gordon Banks one's it's a famous save, and it's been shown, and every goalkeeper's seen it, because I think it probably adds to it that it was a Pele header, and it's in a World Cup. So yeah, that's definitely a fantastic save also.
Okay, and the last one from Nick, also via Twitter, a bit of a cheeky one. What's the best club you've played for, given you've played for almost all of them?
I'll say Perth Glory, because I've played 100 games for the club, and that's the first time I've actually done that at a football club. But yeah, I think Perth. I've enjoyed my time at all different clubs, and had fantastic times. And I actually, when people ask me, you've played for so many clubs, I actually wouldn't change anything, because I've got to meet different people from other clubs, and formed lifelong friends and friendships and at those clubs. And so I enjoy going to games now where I've played, and I always know someone from the opposition team. Now it's generally I've known someone from the staff now, because they've all retired. But it's something that I look back, and I'm proud that I've played for seven A-League clubs, and I've enjoyed my time at all. But if you're going to ask me, I'll probably say Perth, because I've played here the longest, and I've also won premiership here and hopefully a championship in a week.
Rocket, we hope to see you keeping goal for another few more years yet. It's been an absolute pleasure to have you on today. Thanks so much for spending some time with us, and we wish you all the very best in what remains of the finals in the A-League this season. Cheers, mate.
Rocket, good luck, son.
Thanks for having me on, guys.
All the best.
Good on you, Rocket.
Thank you, boys.
Good luck.
Thank you.
Great stuff. And that is us for another week. Thanks to all of you for downloading us and following us, for watching our clips on Twitter and Facebook and YouTube. We're now up to nearly 9,500 downloads of our episodes, and our Twitter following continues to grow up to almost 1,500. Tell your friends, spread the word, and thanks, of course, to our great sponsors, Stringgate and Outback Steakhouse. We'll be back same time, same place next week for another Shim, Spider, and so much more. See you then.